In this world of constant changes, IFÁ reminds us that confrontations only bring problems, but calm and analysis always lead us to victory. When the forest blooms, the animals flourish. When houses prosper, human beings do too. Welcome to a new video from Ofún Oshe. Today we're going to delve into the mysteries of OKANA SÁ, a powerful Odun that teaches us how to face life's challenges with wisdom and patience. We'll learn about the origins of this sign, the advice that DICE IFÁ gives us, the prohibitions we must respect, and of course the fascinating Patakís that reveal the true essence of this Odun. And in the end, we'll understand why OKANA SÁ is considered a messenger to heaven for sacrifices. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to receive updates about our new videos. Let's begin our journey through the paths of IFÁ through OKANA SÁ BILARÍ. OKANA OSA, also known as OKANA OSA or OKANA SÁ BILARÍ, is the 130th Odun in the lordly order of IFÁ. This Odun teaches us something fundamental: the importance of avoiding confrontations in our lives. It shows us that conflicts and difficult situations must be faced peacefully with calm and deep analysis. Only in this way can we emerge victorious from any challenge that presents itself. In this sign we see how SHANGÓ, in a moment of anger, climbed to the top of the royal palm tree while the elderly women of that land begged him to come down. We also learn that ELEGBA went out to travel the world and everything began to become scarce. OKANA SÁ warns us about the duality of life. Here the death of one can be the benefit of others. It advises us to be careful of the evil eye and possible thefts, which is why it's recommended to blow cascarilla, eggshell powder, in the house as protection. In this Odun, very powerful forces speak: the grave and death. For women, this sign indicates possible stomach problems and alterations in their menstrual cycle, advising them to seek urgent treatment. The story tells us that when SHANGÓ came from heaven to this earth to help Orunmila fix it, he performed specific rituals. And when SHANGÓ wanted to marry Oya, despite all the saints opposing it, he triumphed, thanks to his determination and wisdom. Comencemos An ahora important nuestro teaching viaje of por los OKANA caminos SÁ de is IFÁ that there cannot be través two
de
who
OKANA
rule
SÁ
in the house,
BILARÍ.
as SHANGÓ is only one. It also warns us about doing favors for friends without discernment, as this can bring us problems. This Odun marks hunger, scarcity, calamities, and diseases, but also points out that we will reach the final triumph if we follow its advice. It shows us that OKANA SÁ must be kept shining, avoiding obligations, leading it to be dirty, both itself and its house. It must avoid fights, as everything that is purified will be blessed by Obatala and Olofin. With patience and following these guidelines, OKANA SÁ over time becomes indispensable and prosperous. This path teaches us to respect important forces and shows us that who defends in this sign is ELEGBA. In this powerful Odun, fundamental aspects for our religion are born. Here was born the virtue of being a messenger to heaven for sacrifices, making this sign a direct intermediary between humans and deities. Also born is the importance of mentioning Eshu Agbirari for any offering to correctly manifest. This is essential because without his mention, rituals might not have the desired effect. In OKANA SÁ is born Obara Kekute Oluo, an Anyagwi Elufe who carries an arrow in his head as a symbol of his power and determination. Here originates the knowledge that sacred things should not get wet, a teaching that every practitioner must respect to maintain the strength of ritual elements. This Odun teaches us the vital importance of fulfilling our commitments to EGUN, as forgetting our ancestors can lead us to great losses and difficulties. In OKANA SÁ is born the explanation of why this sign must be present in rituals, becoming an indispensable element for their effectiveness. Here originates the Kardon plant in Dahomey, a plant of great power in our tradition. This Odun reveals a profound truth. Although OKANA SÁ does not know, it marks what is necessary. This teaches us that sometimes intuition and spiritual connection are more important than formal knowledge. It was in this sign where Olofin gave the Ashe and literature of ODU, laying the foundations of the knowledge of IFÁ. Also born here is the understanding that the death of some is the benefit of others, showing us the natural cycle of life and transformation. In OKANA SA was born leprosy, a disease that reminds us of the importance of humility and respect toward everyone, regardless of their condition. Born is the white cloth as an emblem of God's immortality, a symbol that remains to this day. Here it is taught to divine for prosperity, giving us tools to improve our material and spiritual situation. In this sign, we learn how SHANGÓ accidentally struck the side of one of his followers, teaching us about the unexpected consequences of our actions. We meet Agbirari, Eshu's inseparable friend, and his importance in rituals. It was in OKANA SA where Eshu put teeth and venom in the snake, transforming it into the reptile we know today. Here also is born the prohibition against eating sesame seeds, food that we must avoid to stay in harmony with this sign. In this Odun, the diseases that are born are mainly of the digestive system, eye problems, leprosy, and evil eye, teaching us to protect ourselves from these evils. DICE IFÁ in OKANA SA offers us wise advice to navigate life with greater security and harmony. It warns us that we should not stand at the window, as there could be death. This teaching goes beyond the literal. It tells us not to unnecessarily expose ourselves to negative energies or dangerous situations. It also tells us that we want to do something good and someone does not want us to do it. But when we do it, we will be fine. This is an invitation to trust our positive impulses and not let ourselves be influenced by those who seek to hinder our progress. IFÁ speaks to us in this Odun about moves and travels, advising us to prepare ourselves spiritually to be well in new places. It reminds us that every change requires protection and adequate preparation. It alerts us about evil eyes and envy, suggesting using white cloth as protection against these negative energies that can affect our well-being and progress. For women, this sign warns about health problems related to the stomach and alterations in their menstrual cycle, advising immediate treatment to avoid major complications. DICE IFÁ warns us against traps and deceptions, teaching us to be alert in our relationships and interactions. It advises us not to hide or steal money from our brother, not to tell lies, and to be honest at all times. It comforts us by saying that although we are sick, we will heal, that soon we will do something that many will see and recognize. It informs us that someone has been looking for us to help with healings or spiritual works. This Odun warns us that because of a woman, death can come, teaching us to be cautious in our romantic relationships. It reveals that our enemy lives nearby, not far away, reminding us that sometimes the greatest threats are by our side without us noticing. DICE IFÁ in OKANA SA indicates that there was almost death in our house because of tragedies, but we can avoid it by following its advice. It reminds us of the importance of attending to EGUN, to advance in life. The day we forget the dead, we will lose everything. It instructs us to put a pot with ajiako, a type of stew, for our dead in the house, one at the nearest corner and one behind the cemetery, and then receive orunmila for greater protection. Finally, it advises us never to abuse women and to love and consider a partner, reminding us of the importance of respect and love in relationships. The Proverbs of OKANA SA contain condensed wisdom that guides us on our spiritual path. Each of them transmits profound teachings that we must meditate on and apply to our daily lives. The death of one is the joy of others. This proverb reminds us of the duality of existence and how the cycles of life and death are interconnected, where what seems like a loss can be a gain from another perspective. With truth, one wins. Here OKANA SA teaches us the incalculable value of honesty. As we saw in its Patakís, when SHANGÓ was the only one who told the truth, he was rewarded with a king's crown, while those who lied suffered consequences. The white cloth only ages and tatters. This proverb speaks to us about the immortality of the spirit and how the divine, represented by the white cloth, never really dies but transforms. It is a reminder of our connection to the eternal. Iku is not in the house of the Awo. It teaches us about the protection that the knowledge of Ifá provides against negative forces. Whoever follows the precepts of this Odun will be protected. The old have never heard that Olodumare is dead. This profound proverb connects us with the eternity of the divine and the ancestral wisdom that recognizes the permanence of the higher forces. When the forest blooms, the animals will flourish. It speaks to us of the natural cycles of abundance and how prosperity in one area brings blessings to all who are connected to it. If I avoid confrontation, I will not have problems. This proverb encapsulates one of the central teachings of OKANA SA, the importance of peace and harmony as a way to avoid difficulties. When I act peacefully, I will not have conflicts. It reinforces the previous message, reminding us that our peaceful and measured attitude is key to maintaining balance in our lives. Before continuing, I want to clarify that this Odun is extremely rich in Patakís and teachings. I won't be able to develop all these Patakís in this video due to their extent, but I do have a solution for you. Now let's continue with some of the most important Patakís of OKANA SA. Now we're going to learn about some of the most important Patakís of OKANA SA, which reveal the depth of its teachings. We begin with the story of when OKANA SA, without knowing, marked rain. OKANA SA was a very hard-working Awo, but he did not busy himself with Ifá. All his focus was on work. One day, Olofin fell ill and called all his children to look at him. Everyone showed up except OKANA SA, as he was dirty from his tasks in the field. Seeing that OKANA SA didn't arrive, Olofin sent ELEGBA to look for him. Upon arrival, Olofin asked him why he hadn't come, and he replied that he knew nothing, as he only occupied himself with his work. But at that moment something came to his mind and he said, "Your illness is due to the great concern over the lack of rain. It hasn't rained for a long time. What you need to do is a great ritual for health and for rain." After Olofin followed his advice, he began to recover from his illness and the rain returned. This story teaches us that sometimes intuition is more powerful than formal knowledge and that everyone has special gifts to contribute to the community. Another important Patakí tells us about the man who forgot Egun. There was a man for whom everything went wrong and who was in a desperate situation. He went to the countryside to look for work and found a job digging ditches. At the first blows with the pickaxe, he hit something and found a dead man. "Egun," the man lamented, "and now also a dead man." To his surprise, the dead man answered him, "Don't mistreat me. You don't know how I can help you in the future." From that day on, this man attended to that dead man and began to prosper, becoming the owner of those lands. But with prosperity, he neglected the dead man and began his descent. When the man, again in misery, went to the dead man, the latter said to him, "It's too late. I told you not to mistreat me, and all you've done is that." The man died in misery for having neglected the dead man who had provided him with everything in life. This Patakí teaches us the vital importance of always honoring our ancestors and not forgetting them when we achieve prosperity. The story of the white cloth as a symbol of immortality is also fundamental in this Odun. Olodumare's head became excessively white, and he became immortal. White hair is the glory of old age and demands respect. The young have never heard that the cloth is dead, the cloth only ages in tatters. The old have never heard that the cloth is dead, the cloth only ages in tatters. The young have never heard that Olodumare is dead, the cloth only ages in tatters. Olodumare was the one who sought the means of immortality. He was told to perform a ritual and to find a piece of long white cloth. When the necessary rites were performed, the white cloth was spread over him to cover him completely. Since then, he became immortal and also invisible. People can only hear of him and his majesty. Thus he remains in honor, fear, and reverence. That is, he is known as Oba Airi, the invisible king. This Patakí teaches us about the immortality of the spirit and how sacred symbols, like the white cloth, connect us with the eternal. Finally, the Patakí of why OKANA SA is put in the ritual. Olofin called a meeting of all the Babalawos to perform a ritual. But the elders did not notify OKANA SA because he was the youngest and a field worker. After having performed the ritual, it did not close, and that's when Olofin asked for OKANA SA, but nobody answered. Olofin sent for him to say something. Upon arrival, OKANA SA replied, "What can I say if you haven't taught me anything? I can say nothing because I know nothing." But such was the insistence and pleading for him to speak, because the ritual did not close, that he finally said, "You must put a large bouquet of flowers for the dead and plead with them a lot, and then finish everything in the cemetery." After saying this, the ritual then closed correctly, and OKANA SA returned to the field to work. When he put the plow in the earth, he noticed that it got stuck. He went to see what it was and found a skull and said to himself, "Even here, the dead follow me." And the skull answered him, "All you have to do is try to move me to another place where no one mistreats me or steps on me, and I will be your protective guide all your life." OKANA SA did so, and that's why he became king. For this reason, OKANA SA must always be included in rituals, by order of Olofin, since without his signature, Olofin would not recognize any ritual that is done. These stories show us the importance of humility, intuition, respect for ancestors, and the value of truth. OKANA SA teaches us that sometimes those who seem to know less possess the key to solving the most complex problems. This Odun OKANA SA is truly powerful in its teachings. It shows us that calm and patience are essential virtues for facing life's difficulties. Through its Patakís, we understand the importance of keeping our commitments with EGUN and respecting all the spiritual forces that surround us. The wisdom of OKANA SA reminds us that we must be honest like SHANGÓ, who received his king's crown for telling the truth. It teaches us to be humble like OKANA SA himself, who despite not having formal knowledge, had the intuition necessary to solve problems that others could not. The advice of DICE IFÁ in this Odun provides invaluable guides for navigating daily challenges, protecting us from negative energies, and helping us prosper despite adversities. If you want to delve deeper into the science of IFÁ, we recommend you watch our complete playlist of Odun that is available on our channel. Here's the link, as your sign of IFÁ might already be there, waiting to reveal its teachings to you. When the forest blooms, the animals flourish. When houses prosper, human beings do too. DICE IFÁ reminds us not to worry about your current situation, because before the sunset of your life, you will flourish, multiply, and prosper if you follow the right path. Remember that I am your brother always, Ofún Oshe, Iboru, Iboya, Iboshishe.